Good morning. Today we will learn Swami Vivekananda and religious tolerance. The holy men sustain this world by their teachings manifested through their speech or conduct. Every human being, high or low, is influenced in some measure by some holy man or the other son. Sons are of three categories: meditative, devotee, and missionary. Meditative sons are those who ponder in isolation over the infinite and seek their own personal salvation. Society is away from their mind and body. Suk Muni was one of them. There are a number of nameless similar philosophers' sons. Devotee sons are in love with God and they bother neither about their own salvation nor about that of the society. They are so much in tune with the personal God that their love to God makes them blind to the society. Mirabai was such a type. But there is a third variety of the tribe of the holy men who preach religion and strive for the salvation of the society. They have a set mission in life. They have not only devotion but dedication too. Kipling gloated over the white man's burden to redeem the ignorant blossoms from the dust of darkness. They are sons imbued with a social consciousness. Swami Vivekananda was a missionary son. He was an extraordinary genius with both a spiritual vision and spiritual mission. In this vision, man is none other than the supreme divinity under a teeny material cover, and human life is nothing but a continuous struggle to express the divinity within. According to him, that society is the highest which afford maximum opportunity to its members to manifest their potential divinity. His mission there was to rouse men and women all over the world to an awareness of their divine nature and to show them the ways and means to express that divinity into their thought and actions, in their art, education, literature, culture, social customs, and institutions, and in fact, in all areas of life. His ideas and ideals have great relevance to the current problems challenging India and the world today. The multidimensional personality Swami Vivekananda was born Narendranath Dutt on 12th January 1863 in Kolkata in a respectable middle class family. His father Vishwanath Dutt was an attorney and was a lover of the arts and literature. Although liberal minded, Vishwanath was skeptical about religious practice. On the other hand, Narendra Mother's Bhuneshwari was a pious, kind hearted lady. devoted to the Hindu tradition. The influence of each of his parents on Narendra was different, yet together they provided a congenial atmosphere for the precious boy to grow into an energetic young man with high ideals. Narendra was also a fine singer and could play several musical instruments. He possessed grand and good looking personality. His family also provided a strong moral and cultural foundation to his life. Taking a broad look at the early part of his life, we can see that there were some influences that formed his personality and philosophy. There started to arise questions about God and the presence of God in young Naren's mind. This made him associate with the Brahm Samaj and important religious movement the time. But the Samaj congregational prayers and devotional song could not satisfy Naren's zeal to realize God. It was during this time that Naren's relative was a devotee of Ramakrishna, and Professor Hasti, one of the Naren's teachers, spoke very high of Ramakrishna, which excited his curiosity. In November 1881, he was invited to sing at a house where Ramakrishna was a guest. They had a brief conversation, and Ramakrishna invited the young man to come and visit him at the Dakshireshwar temple on the bank of Gangas. At the distance of a few miles from Kolkata, where he lived, Narendra did so, and thereafter such meeting become frequent, and ultimately he became his chief disciple. At the time of death, Ramakrishna made him their apparent and chief monk of Dakshireshwar. Narendranath Dutt, and by this time been transferred into Swami Vivekananda, and he has founded his life missions. Vivekananda proposed an integration of education and religious activities, and it was thus that the Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Mutt or monastery came into existence. The harmony of all religion with Ramakrishna Paramahans accomplished in his life endeavor was the keynotes of his life, which was followed by him in all the spheres of his multifarious activities. Swami Vivekananda represented the highest tradition of religion and philosophy in the contemporary period and present with great lucidity his view on religion and its associated problems at the Chicago Parliament of World Religion in 1893. He took religion as a necessity of life and the most potent force guiding the destiny of human race since the very beginning. Swami Vivekananda believed in the unity of religions. He says that religion is realization of the ultimate truth. Swamiji defines each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divine within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control of philosophy by one or more or all these and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. It means religion is the manifestation of the divinity already in man. How beautifully he restates it with a dualistic overtone in another context. Religion is the eternal relation between the eternal soul and the eternal God. Do you want a non metaphysical definition of religion? Here it is: the pleasure of the self is what the world calls religion. He says there is really no difference between matter, mind, and spirit. They are only different phases of experience of the one. This very word is seen by the five senses as matter, by the very wicked as hell, by good and heaven, and by the perfect as God. The reason behind religious intolerance is that the popular mind, instead of sticking to the fundamentals of religion, instead of understanding the true important its essentials, ac- accentuates only the difference between the non-essential constituents of religion, namely ritual and mythology, in order to help man to ultimately attain the summum bonum of life. The different religions essentially concern themselves with the partial life of man by formulating codes of conduct and spiritual disciplines. These doctrines, these various paths call upon their followers to pray to the one and the same God. But because the paths are divergent and the details they enunciate very difference arise, forgetting the essentials, the adherents of the respective faith lay stress on the non-essential delay details and thus quarrels arise. Each religious sect has claimed its exclusive right to live on the ground that is considered its own doctrine and its own organization superior to any other. The peculiarity about this is that, in spite of open and even bitter conflict, modes of major religious sects have at least continued to live. These internal and external conflicts, instead of weakening these sects, have added vitality to them and have enabled them to expand and to live. Swami Vivekananda admits that sect and conflicts have to be there. If everybody thinks the same thoughts, there remain actually nothing to be thought. Variation is the sign of life. It must be there. He says unity is variety, is the plane of the universe. We are all men and yet we are all distinct from one another. As a part of humanity, I am one with you, and as a Mr. So and so, I am different from you. As a man, you are separate from woman. As a human being, you are one with woman. As a human being, you are separate from the animals, but as living being, man, woman, and animal are all one. And as existence, you are one with the whole universe. That universe existence, it got the ultimate unity in the universe. In him, we are all one. And the same time in manifestation, these differences must always remain in our work, in our energies, and they are being manifested outside. These differences must always remain because variety is the first principle of life. As Swamiji explained, do I wish that the Christian would become Hindu? God forbid. Do I wish that the Hindu or Buddhist would become Christian? God forbid. The seed is put in the ground, and earth and air and water are placed around it. Does the seed become the earth, or the air, or the water? No. It becomes a plant. It develops after the law of its own growth, assimilates the air, the earth, and the water, convert them into plant substance and grow into the plant. Similar is the case within religion. The Christian is not to become a Hindu or Buddhist, nor a Hindu or a Buddhist to become a Christian, but each must assimilate the spirit of the others and yet preserve his individuality and grow according to his own law or growth. Swamiji says that all religions are not really contradictory but supplementary. Each religion, as it were, takes up one part of the great universal truth and spends its whole force in embodying and typifying that part of the great truth. It is therefore addition, not exclusion. That is the idea. System after system arise, each one, everybody, a great ideal, and ideal must be added to ideals. And this is the much of humanity. Man never progresses from error to truth, but from truth to truth, from lesser truth to higher truth, but never from ever to truth. We must learn that truth may be expressed in a hundred thousands way, and that each of these ways is true as far as it goes. We must learn that the same things can be viewed from a hundred different standpoints and yet be the same things. Suppose a man is journeying towards the sun, and as he advances, he takes a photographs of the sun at every stage. When he comes back, he has many photographs of the sun, which he places before us. We see that no two are alike, and yet who will deny that all these are photographs of the same sun from different standpoints? In the same way, we are all looking at truth from different standpoints, which vary according to our worth, education, surroundings, and so on. We are viewing truth, getting as much of it as these circumstances will permit, coloring it with our own feelings, understandings, in with our own intellects, and grasping it with our mind. We can know only as much of truth as is related to us, as much of it as we are able to receive. This makes the difference between man and sometimes even occasions contradictory ideals. Yet we all being to the same great universal truth. Swamiji says, my idea therefore is that all these religions are different, great universal truth. Swamiji says, my idea therefore is that all these religions are different from in economic of God working from good or mankind, and that not one can become dead, not one can be liked, killed. Just as you cannot kill any forces in the nature, so you can no kill any one of these spiritual forces. You have seen that even religion is living. From time to time, it may retrogress or go forward. At one time, it may be shorn of a good many of its trappings. At another time, it may be covered with all sorts of trappings, but all the same, the soul is ever there. It can never be lost. The ideals which every religion represents is never lost, and so every religion is intelligently on the march. In every religion, there are three parts, namely philosophy, mythology, and ritual. Describing these three parts of religion, Swamiji said that the first part of philosophy, which presents the whole scope of the religion, setting forth its basic principles, the goal and the means of reaching it. The second part is mythology, which is philosophy made concrete. It consists of legends relating to the lives of men or of supernatural beings and so forth. It is the abstractions of philosophy concretized in the more of less imaginary lives of men and supernatural beings. The third part is the ritual. This is still more concrete and is made up of from and ceremonies, various physical attitudes, flowers and incense, and many other things that appeals to the senses. In these consist the ritual, you will find that all recognized religions have these three elements. Some lay more stress on one, some on another. Religion differs due to different rituals and mythological background. The philosophical aspect of every religion represent the basic principle which are common to all religion. Once again, I repeat it that the philosophical aspect of every religion represent the basic principle which are common to all religion. Religious tolerance tries to unite men on the basis of these essential common principles. Swami Vivekananda said that we must understand all those religions have proved their strength, their worth, and their necessity for mankind. Therefore, under Swamiji underscored the equal status of all the religions. He says, I accept all the religions that were in the past and worship with them all. Once again, I repeat it that Swamiji says, I accept all the religions that were in the past and worship with them all. I worship God with every one of them in whatever form they worship him. I shall go to the mosque of the Mohammedan, I shall enter the Christian church and kneel before the crucifix. I shall enter the Buddhist temple where I shall take refuge in Buddha and his law. I shall go into the forest and sit down in the meditation with the Hindu who is trying to see the light which enlightens the hearts of everyone. Not only shall I do all this, but I shall keep my heart open for all the religions that may come in the future. In this manner, Swamiji advocates the equal importance of all religions in the world. He represents the highest ideals of religion's tolerance. In his famous first address at the Parliament of World Religion, he says of the Hindu tradition, I am proud to be a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal tolerance, but we accept all religion as true. Tolerance is, of course, far preferable to intolerance. It is, however, is lesser virtue when I compared with acceptance. Tolerance means that I think that you are wrong and I am just allowing you to live. It is not blasphemy to think that you and I are allowing other to live. I accept all religions that were in the past and worship with them all. I worship God with every one of them in whatever form they worship Him. Tolerance alone is not enough. We can tolerate someone while ignoring them, but we truly see the divine in all, which is what Vedanta teaches us to do. We must go beyond the minimum requirement of tolerance and move towards acceptance. We must see the other not as other but as our very own. Universal acceptance is based on the belief that God manifests himself throughout all living beings. According to Swami Vivekananda, it is the direct realization of the truth of the spiritual world that forms the real essence of religion. True religion is a direct transcendental experience of ultimate reality. This idea of direct realization is common to all religion. The end of all religion is the realizing of God in the soul. If there is one universal truth in all religion, according to Vivekananda, it is realizing God. Ideals and methods may differ, but this is the main point to be noted. Swami Vivekananda built this theory of the transcendental unity of all religions based on the direct experience of the ultimate reality. He spoke on the oneness of all religion with regard to the transcendental aspects of each religion. It is Vedanta that teaches universal oneness. It teaches the God that is in everyone and everything. Through all these various conception runs the golden thread of unity, and it is the purpose of the Vedanta to discover this thread. I am the thread that runs through all these various ideas, each one of which is like a pearl, says the Lord Krishna, and it is the duty of Vedanta to establish this according the thread. Swami explains the duty of Vedanta is to harmonize all these aspirations to make manifest the common ground between all the religions of the world, the highest as well as the lowest. Vedanta for Swami Vivekananda did not mean Advait only. I included the ground of dualism, qualified monism, and Advaita in its fold. He viewed that the various systems of Vedanta are not contradictory to each other, rather, they are complementary. They fulfill each other until the goal of understanding self, Tat Thomas, is attained. Showing the unifying force of Vedanta philosophy, he says, I am the same as any other man as any animal, good, bad, anything. It is one body, one mind, one soul throughout. Spirit never dies. There is no death anywhere, not even for the body. Not even the mind dies. How can even the body die? One leaf may fall. Does the tree die? The universe is my body. See how it continues. All minds are mine. With all feet I walk. Through all months I speak. In everybody I reside. From him, Advait transcendent all the form of religion in the unifying vision of the one absolute and our reality in the terms of this one absolute, and that is the meaning of all existence. He wrote, the truth is that Advaitism is the last word of religion and thought and the only position from which one can look upon all religions and sects with love. I believe it is the religion of the future enlightened humanity. Vedanta offer an infinite variety of ideals and paths to choose from in order to reach the same ultimate goal. Lacking this freedom of spiritual democracy, religion becomes authoritarian and oppressive, insisting upon blind obedience to rigid tradition and dogmas and unquestioning belief in ceremonials and creeds. Spiritual freedom ensure spiritual welfare, development, and fulfillment by encouraging spiritual individuality, critical inquiry, honest doubt, choice of the path, and verification of truth through personal experience. The central ideal of Vedanta is oneness. There are no two in anything, no two live. There is but one life, one world, one existence. Everything is that one. The difference is in degree and not in kind. We all are moving toward the same goal. We should help other to reach the goal and never do anything that may hurt them or obstruct them. A religion that cannot be into practice, that cannot help man wherever he may be, is not the much use and value. It is the Vedanta of the forests come back to our home, our city, and our society. It is the Vedanta entering into our ordinary life and conduct. It is the Vedanta that may inspire our individual life, social life, and national and international life. Vedanta has silently but surely influenced the thoughts, currents of the words, and built a consensus of amity among all the branches of human knowledge. When Vivekananda visited America, Robert Ingersoll, the famous orator and agnostic, told him 40 years ago you would have been hanged if you had come to preach in this country, or you would have been burnt alive. You would have been stoned out of the villages if you had come even much later. But today, the religions are in the process of continuous dialogues. The voice of Vedanta can be heard in such movements as shape the planet, conserve the forest, preserve the ozone layer, stop cruelty of animals, one world, one family, and others. And the present time there is more consciousness of world unity than ever before. The voice of spirituality is becoming louder and louder, and the wave of spiritual democracy is breaking down the barrier of religiosity. Since of this sign of this spiritual awakening of Vedanta may be seen all over the world in the form of interest in the spiritual life. All types of social problems such as crime, violence, immortality, alcoholism, break down of family, etc., and existential problem such as meaninglessness, loneliness, equineurosis, etc. And there is growing awareness that these problems can be solved through Vedanta's teaching of spiritual life. Swamiji introduced fourfold method to attain the spiritual realization which called yoga. Means all types of problem can be solved through the teaching of spiritual teaching of Vedanta. But how can we attain the spirituality in this regard? Swamiji said that we can achieve the spirituality through exercise or practice of yoga. Yoga means yoga to join that it to join the soul of man with the supreme soul or God. The four yogas are the paths of Jnana, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raj Yoga as four independent paths leading to the goal of self knowledge. Thus, the worker or the Karma Yogin realizes his own divinity through work performed unselfishly. The emotional man or Bhakti Yogin realize it through devotion and love for a personal God. The mystic or the Raja Yogin realize it through control of mind, and the philosophers Jnana Yogin through knowledge. Swamiji has tried to show that each path is efficacious if pursued with the sincerity, good intent, reason, not attachment, and renunciation. Though he has said that these paths are followed by the persons of different temperaments, he has also made it imply clear that none of these paths is exclusive. More than once had he said there is not really so much difference between knowledge and love, means jnana and bhakti, as people sometimes imagine. We shall see as we go on that is the end. They converge and meet at the same point. So also it is with Raja Yoga, which when pursued as a means to attain liberation leads us also to the same goal. Work endless, work without looking at results, and always keeping the whole mind and soul steadfast at the lotus feet of the Lord. This is Karma Yoga. You must harmonize the four different yogas, otherwise, how can you always keep your mind and heart wholly on the Lord? The spiritual practice prescribed by these yogas build up character, but as elements of all the four natures are found intermingled in the complex human nature, a harmonious blending of all the four modes of practice would go a long way to build an ideal character. With this end in view, Swamiji described that the spiritual disciplines to be followed in this organization should be based on the synthesis of the four yogas. He says that the yogas are the science of the religion, as every science has its method, so has every religion. Hence, the yoga is the methods of attaining to the end of religion. And attaining to the end of religion with yoga, we can achieve the spirituality, and after achieving the spirituality there will be no any conflict, there will be no any corruption, there will be no any types of problems will be arise because everyone see himself in other, and this will be arise, and this concept will be arise in the word that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Thank you all.